The Game Boy was one of the best-selling consoles in the history of Nintendo, and they made some amazing games for this thing. For example, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins. The game that came before this one, Super Mario Land 1, was a launch title for this console, and also the first Mario platformer game ever to be released on a handheld console. So of course this trend of new innovations had to continue. So in this new game they introduced the concept of space exploration and also Wario. However, some things were also scrapped, like certain animations, features, alternate maps and a lot more. And that's what we're going to look at today. First up, some animations for Mario that ended up not being used. Like I mentioned before, this game has certain aspects of the great outer space. So of course Mario has a suit for this. However, it looks like they had more plans with this. There are animations of Mario swimming in space. It's possible these were meant for the last Space Zone stage, where you have free vertical movement. Now by the looks of it, they also wanted the player to use pipes in the space section, but there are no vertical pipes and you can't spin jump. Clearly they wanted to add these gameplay elements in the levels, but for some reason scrapped it. They most likely did this because of design choices. Nothing in the Space Zone could mess with these concepts, since only the gravity is different there, which we don't expect to be a problem.
Now, there's also an item in the files from an older game. Well, this time around it was made for Super Mario Land 2. The trampoline from Super Mario World. This appears in an early version of the standard block tile set. In the final version it was replaced by the fire block graphics. Adding this to the game would have been a great and also fun idea. You can do a bunch of different and diverse things with it. Since they only made the sprite for it, we think they scrapped it quite early. If this wasn't the case, then there would have been some leftover animations at least. Now, why they removed it is unknown. Maybe because of the limited space on the small Game Boy cartridge. It was replaced by the fire blocks after all. However, this isn't all, because in the background of the levels there are also a lot of things to be seen. Or in this instance, not seen, because they were scrapped. There are graphics from an older version of the goal at the end of the level, which include a sign above a mushroom house. And while all the graphics exist, only the rooftop has the meta tiles defined. This version of the goal appeared in an early screenshot, which also shows a final timer graphic. But we will get back to that later. Interestingly, the ribbed tiles differ somewhat from this shot. Look at the lower part of the roof by the right side of the doorway, and the area where the pole meets the roof. This may suggest that the old goal underwent a tiny bit of alteration before being scrapped. Clearly, they weren't happy with the design. Even tweaking the design wasn't enough to make it better, and so the decision of scrapping it and starting over was made. Now to get back to the timer. It's seen in the screenshot of the older version of the goal, which means that this change was made quite late. You might think, what do you mean with final timer? Well, there once was a different version. Found in an early version of the font, this would have been used to indicate time instead of the letter T. It was probably shortened to make the interface less cramped, and the early screenshot indicates that this was changed before the goal change was made. The last two 8x8 tiles were replaced with the money back graphics. Now, there are also some interesting things left behind in the files related to the maps of the game, mostly alternate versions. These tiles are found with the rest of the castle overworld graphics.
In this different map, the castle is clearly not the same as in the final one.
The top of the castle is always obscured by a large black cloud, even after you defeat Wario, rendering them unused. An unused tile map shows the full castle using these tiles. Interestingly, this tile map has some other differences. A tree to the right of the Pumpkin Zone entrance is in a different location and is also missing a tile. For reasons unknown, some water tiles next to Macrozone's right chimney were switched around, the small end of the tunnel to the right of Macrozone has a blank tile above it, and at one point, this probably had a different tile, as it reuses a tile from elsewhere in the final version. Since the flowers northeast of the castle are replaced by the dark cloud in the final version, a single set of flowers was added to the right tunnel mentioned above. And a piece of the fence southwest of the castle is missing, which might suggest that the fence post once formed a vertical line, instead of the bracket shape.
So, a ton of smaller changes here and there. Nothing big really. Most of these things were probably done because of design choices. It could even be that at the very end of the game, the clouds were supposed to be gone because Wario was defeated, but then they scrapped it, which is kind of sad, since it would have looked a lot better. Now to finish this video off, we will look at a little Easter egg which cannot be seen in the game normally. The word happy is spelled out in the stars in the first Space Zone level. You can reach the Y if you jump up and to the left of the secondary money bag. Now this was mostly put in because the developers were just having fun. Stuff like this is seen in a lot of Nintendo games. Almost every Kirby game ever made has HAL, which is the name of the developers, in blocks somewhere in a level. Now Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins added a lot to the series, but it could have introduced a lot more. But no, Nintendo didn't wanna. However, despite all of this, the game was still a ton of fun and actually one of my favorite 2D Mario games ever. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to watch more videos, click those lovely annotations on the screen. And why not click that red subscribe thing with the bell thing? I heard they do amazing things.